Let's go, girls. Welcome to Talk Wealthy to Me. I'm Michelle Taylor, founder of Women in Wealth. From breaking money myths to building wealth and achieving financial freedom, we're here to empower you to create your own path. Talk Wealthy. Now, join the conversation and let's change the way women think and feel about money. Okay, ready? Hi, everyone. I am so excited for this episode of Talk Wealthy to Me. I am joined by Melanie Sinclair, a dear friend who has had quite the life. She was a collegiate athlete. She had a long career all over the country and world, in fact, with Cirque du Soleil, and is now in the concierge and functional training space as a business owner and entrepreneur. She shares lots of tips and interesting facts about all of the twists and turns her life has taken. And I know you're going to love this as much as I love her. Enjoy. Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Talk Wealthy to Me. I'm Michelle Taylor, your host, and I am thrilled to have Melanie Sinclair with me today. Thank you for coming.
Thank you for inviting me.
Of course. So, you guys, Melanie has an incredible story. She has lived, I feel like,
Another
10
life.
lives by now. But tell everybody what you do currently.
Currently? Okay, so I operate a business called MS Fitness. MS Fitness is a functional training facility. We do personal training, primarily private, semi-private, and group training, as well as performance enhancement for athletes. And we are located currently in Maitland, Florida. So we're in a new space called Functional Fit Club, and we are expanding and growing and just trying to reach as many people as possible and change people's lives.
So I know why you ended up in this space, but tell us a little bit about your journey. You were a gymnast, did Cirque du Soleil. I mean, crazy. So
How far back do we want to go?
As far as you want to go.
Okay, well, I started gymnastics at 6. No, I was on the U.S. team for about 7 years until 2005, where I then graduated and went to the University of Florida
Go Gators.
Mm-hmm. As a scholarship athlete. And I went 5 years at the University of Florida, graduated in 2010. I was uncertain as to what to do with my life. So I applied and got invited to Montreal by Cirque du Soleil to go to Montreal to do a workshop. At this workshop, we explored the opportunity to create this brand new
show.
It was actually an act first, brand new act. And then they put us into a new show, a new creation. So we did a creation of an act, and then we explored the creation of a new show. And in that, I then got the job, because you have to do the exploration side first, which is the workshop, and be invited to then come back to the show.
That's wild. And so I can't believe it, but I just went to Cirque for the first time. I sent you a message.
Yes.
But it was incredible. And I was so intrigued. So they like speak a weird language, or no one talks,
like
but they make like noises.
Yes.
And
yes.
It's all very interesting.
Unique.
But you know all about that world.
It was actually very interesting, and it was way outside of my comfort zone. During creation, we had to do things like bouffon, which is like clown, like an acting class for what clowns do. And then we did, what did we do? Crump. I had to learn to crump. You know how people crump in like California? They're like,
oh yeah.
We had to do crumping classes. I had to do kung fu. I had to learn.
Oh my gosh.
How to do contact improv, which I thought was the hardest part, because you're all up in someone's face and moving with them, and it's like contemporary dance by holding someone's hands and rolling on the ground and moving with their body and feeling their energy and sensing where they're going to go next. And it was really intense. Either way, it forced you to exit and remove yourself from your traditional form of being and tap into this alter ego and tap into this like alternative version of yourself.
And what did you do? What when
was
you
my
were there?
character.
Mm-hmm.
I was an Amazon. So I was an Amazon. I know I'm 4'11", but I was an Amazon woman. That was the gag the whole time. I was an Amazon, but almost like think of like an anamorph. So we all were humans, clearly, and they put a corset on us with a horse tail. And so often we would morph between being the Amazon woman and being the horse and being the creature. So we would do things with our spears, but have the tail. So we would sometimes, it was just a really unique character. And the show was called Amaluna, and it was taken from The Tempest. So the storyline kind of went off of that storyline. And so we had the men that washed up on shore, and we had the battle between them. We had our princess, and then we had the queen and the moon goddess. And it was a whole thing. It was a beautiful show. And like our cast was so well intertwined, and we grew together because we were all pretty young at the time. But we did North America, Europe, and South America, about each continent for about 18 months.
Oh my gosh.
Approximately.
So this was
I was on tour for
years.
7.5, almost 8 years.
Wow.
Plus we did a year of creation in Montreal. So it was the year of creation in Montreal. Then we toured North America, and we started in Canada. It was an amazing experience. I grew so much, learned so much about myself, but that was the first time that I tapped into being in a space where I had no financial obligations and I was making money.
Mm-hmm.
And so financial guidance was like non-existent. I didn't quite develop that relationship with money at that point as of yet. Not as of yet, but at that time. Isn't that
so just the way it goes, though? When you have the means, you have not a care in the world. And when you know better, sometimes then it's like you don't have as much surplus because then you're married or have kids or whatever it is. It's funny how that works out. Yeah. What was the best part of being in Cirque? Yeah. I mean, it's something that most of us will never, ever do.
The best part, I'd say, was traveling the world with my crew. We had Chinese, Japanese, Russians, Colombians, Americans, Canadians, French. There was so many different cultures, so many different walks of life, so many different mannerisms, tempers, just behaviors in general. And to be on tour, traveling the world, having to combine your efforts, your passions, your work ethics, your
financials a little bit easier, or was that not the case?
I think it depends on the person.
And the sport, probably.
With us, well, at the time that we were there was no NIL. So we weren't getting
anything
what these girls and boys and girls are getting now. However, I was on scholarship. So, of course, my school was paid for. My housing was paid for. Mm-hmm. They gave you a stipend every semester where you also got your Gator 1 card. Oh, yeah. And so you can go to the dining hall. So you can go to dining hall. We also had a thing called training table. So athletes only would go to this space called training table. And you had to go as a freshman. Depending on your sport, they'd tell you how many times you needed to go there. Football had to go there all the time. But gymnasts, they had us only go freshman year. And then you can go anytime you want after that. But you're only required freshman year to make sure that you're getting proper nutrition and you're eating well. So training table is a space that we had allotted for food. Then you had your Gator 1 with a certain amount of money on your Gator 1 for regular
expenses, food.
But this is just for food.
Yeah.
Then we had a check that was given to us per semester for if you wanted to live off campus. So freshman year, you have to live on campus. After that, you can live off campus, and they give you whatever the amount was that they would be spending for your dorm. They give it to you for an apartment. So $400 a month, and they give it to you for the semester, right?
Oh man, $400
and there's
a month.
Plus a little extra. That's where a lot of people went wrong, is because they give you this check. You have to be wise enough to be able to take this check, because this is the first time you're getting money from the university in your hand, be able to hold on to this money correctly and pay your rent, utilities, etc. That's where a lot of people messed up.
Because they would just spend it.
Because they would spend it. Oh, we got money, because you don't have time to have a job.
Yeah, no. Well, it's, being an athlete is your job. So, okay. So you are a gymnast. Then you go to Cirque. Now you marry someone who is from France. And he's an entrepreneur, successful in his own right as well. So the two of you are in business for yourselves. What does life look like for you all? Does he approach money differently than you do?
Yes.
What is that?
He does approach money different than I do. But he also, as I've lived another life, has lived another life with his business. And so his experience with money, he learned from his mistakes with operating his business, and the mistakes that he made. He makes sure that he focuses on investing, but he was making enough money to where he saved enough money to be able to reinvest it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
What I'm saying?
Yeah.
However, culturally, I don't know if all Europeans, so I'll speak for the French. I'll speak for my French. They are not big on credit.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like we as a country, we work on credit. So like you put some credit, you tap into your credit and you pay it off. Tap into your credit, you pay it off. He doesn't operate that money. He's like, that way, sorry. And so he's like, if I don't fully have every single piece of that dollar, why would I use a credit card when I would just use my money to just pay it? So leveraging our system is foreign to him.
Wow. Well, and you and I have talked about this before with different opportunities that I've brought to your attention that would require a piece of leveraging one asset to pay for another or invest in something else. And you've always said, oh, well, we got to talk to Miguel about that.
Yeah.
Because, and I think that it's so interesting, as a country, we tell all of our young people and all of us, credit is so bad on one hand. But on the other hand, it is such a useful tool to building real, sustainable, generationally impacting wealth. It's just that no one's teaching anybody the correct way to do it. So the people that are scared of it, and that's okay. I have a lot of relationships, clients, colleagues, peers that don't love debt. And that's okay. But I think if you make the decision that you never want to tap into that, and there's real evidence or a belief system behind that, that's totally fine. But I think so many people just hear it and are scared of it and don't continue to dig in and evaluate how it can work and why.
Right.
So who handles the finances in your home? Is it
my husband?
Yeah. So he does everything. Do you guys sit down and talk through it, or is it kind of like, okay, well that's awesome.
Yes. He makes sure that I understand what I'm doing, that my money that I make with my business, also that I know how to operate it. I am making wise financial decisions, that he doesn't want to baby me.
No. Yeah, he lets you handle your business.
So I appreciate that, because it forces me also to like get my life together.
Yeah, that's a good thing.
Stay on top of my.
Are you guys having conversations with your boys about money and how it works and all of that?
Small conversations, more so about if we give them something, what are we doing with it? What percentage are you keeping in your piggy bank? And what percentage are you allowed to play with? So that is more what I think my oldest is like, no, Mason, you cannot spend this. You need to keep your $2 in your bank account. And then Mason's like, whoa, I've got $2. Let's go get ice cream, So
they don't,
it's a process, but yes, it is definitely something that we're discussing and slowly introducing and getting them acclimated with.
So when you guys are having these conversations as a family, do you look at big goals together? Do you look at short-term goals? what are some of the tools that you think have made you all successful? Because you do a good job. I know you personally, so I know you do a good job of always being mindful. I feel like even when we're not talking about money, somehow it comes up and you're always approaching the topic with care. When you approach it though, do you look at the big picture, or are you guys looking more at the small bite-size chunks of your plan as a family?
I think we start with the big picture of where we're trying to go and we break it down. So it does come down to the little chunks, but it is because of what we're trying to do in the next 10 years or whatever, 5 years, whatever.
Because you've got big plans for your business.
Yes.
And as a client and someone who's worked with you, I think what you're doing is so spectacularly needed just because there is an intentionality around it. And we talk about health as a type of wealth on the show all the time. So I love what you're doing. And I think that there's such a space for it now. But also with Miguel, he's in real estate. So it's hard to juggle one person being an entrepreneur in a family, but you guys have two. So I always think that it's so interesting where people either start at the big goal and reverse engineer what they need, or they start at the small and build up to this big, giant pie in the sky goal. And neither way is wrong. It's just what makes sense for you guys.
Yeah.
So what do you think you took from being an athlete? How do you think that prepared you for being a business owner?
That's a great question. I do believe being goal oriented.
Mm-hmm.
I do believe I handle adversity really well, trials and tribulations really well. I'm able to
Pivot.
Exactly. Pivot and not allow myself to sit in that bubble and fester and beat myself up. But again, I'm human. But I do believe that being able to set goals and slash them is huge. And a lot of people are goal oriented, but I do believe that by giving myself, like we were talking about with our financial planning,
Mm-hmm.
our financial conversations, by starting large and then breaking it up small. I take that same exact thing that I used to do in gymnastics. I want to be a champion. How do I get there? What is it going to take? How do I break up my training? What is necessary? How many days a week? What's my rest look like? What am I eating? So I break that up into the exact same concept now with my business. Okay, now I have to look at the entire thing as a whole, and then break it up to something as simple as like, okay, how much time can I spend with my family?
Mm-hmm.
How much time am I spending on my business? How much time am I with clients? How much time am I doing admin? How much time am I doing, because it takes that. And I think some people it's an innate gift, and some people it's yes.
But it's interesting you say that, because I feel so many athletes in general have built that muscle over time. So as long as they know how to apply it to other areas of their life,
yeah,
it's such a valuable part of their personalities. And when you think about anything, the power of compounding, I talk about that often as well, doing small actions over
Mm-hmm.
and over and over again are what the building blocks are to success, as long as they're good habits.
Right.
Instead of getting really excited about something, going all in, realizing it is way beyond your expectations of what it would feel like, not sustainable, and then scaling way back. And it's almost like that push and pull instead of just staying slow and steady, which I think is what you did.
Yeah.
So how was there like a wake up call when you were at Cirque? You had all of the extra money that when you're that age with no responsibilities seems like it's a game changer. What drove you, or was there something or someone that you met that said, no, you need to open an IRA, you need to learn what you're spending, budget, or did you figure it out on your own?
Actually, one time when we were on tour, our accountant came and did a tax meeting. And in the tax meeting, he discussed IRAs. And I was like, I saw a few people, some of my older showmates had IRAs, and I was like, what is this? Like, why am I missing out on this? Okay, I need to open one. Okay, let's do this. However, in addition to that, Miguel. So when I met Miguel in 2014, in our actually, I lied. It's not when we met. It's after I had MJ.
Okay.
We're about to go back on tour. He's like, let's invest in a property. And I was like, whoa, friend. What? We were about to go back on tour, and Miguel was like, let's invest in a property. And I was like, pump the brakes. I wasn't ready for it, but we did it. And when I did it with him, I saw that I had not a lot of money left in my bank account. And I was
and that
like,
does not feel good.
It doesn't. My like inside sunk. I was like, there's not a lot of security. And moving forward, like, what if something happens? I dropped to like, I mean, we put a pretty penny down. So, and we paid cash. So that's where I was like, that's also brings us back to,
Using leverage. Yeah.
So we paid for a condo and all my money was gone almost. And so then I was like, I have got to look at money differently, because that feeling, it was hard, because then, I have a child now. The property is being rented out and it will
Create
eventually,
cash flow and,
but it took time. So in the interim, while we're going back on tour, it was scary, because now you have to pay for visas, you have to pay for all the things for the kids to travel, or for MJ travel. Now I have somebody on tour that I have to take care of. So now financially, I'm taking care of this person. So it was like,
it's a lot. Do you think boys have that feeling? Because so many women that I know have, and that's why we always are more likely to hold on to cash more than we need, right? There's a level of comfort. You open your accounts, you see that cash there, and it makes you get the warm and fuzzies. And that's great. That feeling is so tricky though, because you want to have cash, but you don't want to have too much. So in that regard, I've never heard a man say to me, well, I love seeing that number in my account, so I don't really want to go beyond it. And it starts young. My niece, she has a car fund, and she knows what her line in the sand is, that she never wants to go below it. And it's even like spending $20 on something at the mall. And in my mind, I'm thinking, well, you can just go babysit. Come babysit for a date night. You'll make it right back.
Yeah.
But it's that line in the sand. And you get that sinking feeling as soon as you cross over that line. It's just interesting. Ask Miguel. Ask him if he ever gets that sinking feeling.
I don't think I've ever asked that. I'll ask him.
I'm just interested to see if it's just more prevalent with women.
Yeah.
That it's a comfort thing for us.
Yeah.
But so the property started giving you cash flow, which huge help.
Yes.
And then you saw the power in putting your money to work for you. Do you still have that property?
We do. We have 4 others on top of it. So then we leveraged in cash the money from them to reinvest into another.
But that's how it's done.
Yeah.
So if you could go back and talk to the Melanie that was that college, let's say junior, or the Melanie that was fresh into her career at Cirque, like, what are some lessons that you've learned that you would want to say, don't do this, do this? I know you said investing earlier, but is there, hindsight's 2020. Is there anything that sticks out that you can think of that you would want to go back and freeze time and change?
Ooh. Your road to financial security or financial freedom will not be linear. That there's ups, that there's downs, there's pivots. And to be curious and try things. Like you said, that if you're taking one actionable step a day, that in the long run will get you to whatever monumental goal that you have. So to be curious and remember that it's going to be a journey. And so I think that just being okay with knowing it's going to be a journey, because it looks like it's this daunting task and it's overwhelming. And I think I had fear of stepping into it because it was overwhelming.
The unknown.
Yeah.
Too. That is great advice. Even for somebody who's been, feels that they've been in control of their finances for a long time, there's always something new to be curious about, to look into, to have the conversations. And that's so much of what Women in Wealth is all about. And this podcast is really having the courage to do something different, explore, be curious, because it's never going to be a waste of time. Even if you're looking into something that you end up thinking that isn't the right path, now you've built a little bit more of the muscle. You understand a little bit more of the conversation, and you're making educated decisions about your journey with your money. And that's all anybody can ask for. So your business now, I think, is so amazing. What made you decide to go into this space?
The physical space or fitness in general?
Well, because you could have just become a personal trainer. But I think for you, the type of training that you do that is so based in keeping people safe, paying attention to injuries. I mean, that all comes from the journey you've been on.
Absolutely.
Was there some turning point, or how did you decide to go into something so specialized?
My background, through gymnastics, through Cirque, through injury, I recognized that my body was not operating the way it was previously, that way it should have. I had so many ailments. I had so many surgeries. I had so many injuries. It was just, it's not realistic to continue life that way. But there's so many people, not just athletes, that hurt. They hurt and they feel like there is only one form of training. I fell upon this training when I was injured in Cirque through a PT that I had. And he introduced it to me. It was done to me. I worked with him for 4 months. And when I say I didn't have to have surgery, I went back to Cirque probably in the best shape of my life. I fell in love with it. I learned more about it. I studied up on it. I got certified. I believe in it. I eat it. I sleep it. I preach it to folks. And I think that it is the way. So when I left Cirque, I knew that people needed to know. And it didn't just need to be athletes. People need to know that you too can live pain-free.
And there's still so much of it that are normal exercises that everybody knows.
Exactly.
There's jump roping. I can't jump rope, you guys. Melanie and I have had plenty of chuckles because I can only jump rope going backward.
Yes.
And not forward.
But she's so good at it.
It is so funny. But I guess, it is the normal type of training, just with a twist.
Yes.
And I love that. I think there's such a call to action for so many of us now to start paying attention. It's not just doing what we've always done, but really listening and understanding your body. And, there's this whole movement of people that are new to this functional space.
Yes.
And I think that you're just perfect timing for all of this.
Thank you.
It's so cool.
Yes.
I didn't know you had so many injuries. And
oh my goodness.
What was the worst?
The worst? There's a tie. There's a tie. I've had 4 knee surgeries. I tore my ACL, but when I tore my ACL, I also messed up my meniscus and my medial MCL, I'm sorry. And so that's one that was pretty big. And I was in France at the time, so I still had to do an exhibition. So I competed.
Wow.
Then I was there for a few more days, and then I had to travel back. And I think that's when my, the swelling finally set in, and I had to travel back. And then you're in elevation. And so there was little things associated with that made that feel worse.
Mm-hmm.
My head, I did a new skill called a Marinich. And when I did it,
What's that?
I got lost. So you're swinging on the bar. You tap, you have your tempo, and you hollow, you tap. And as you go forward, you then drive your heels and let go of the bar. In front of the bar, you flip and you catch in reverse. And then you swing back in reverse. Okay. So that's how it's supposed to go. I got lost. So instead of tapping and releasing right here in the front of the bar, I continued vertical and then I released, thinking I was in front of the bar. I do the flip as you would normally do in front of the bar, and you reach through because you think the bar is behind you, but the bar is underneath you. And so I came down straight on top of the bar and I scalped myself.
Oh my
So
gosh.
my whole forehead, like, and my hair all came off my forehead and it scrunched right here. I had a plastic surgeon put my forehead back together. I know that one was pretty. That was my mom. My mom was like,
and like, that's wild.
I know,
but you still, guys, she can still throw back handsprings and back tucks and all of the things. My little girl is a cheerleader, and she's had some little lessons with her to try and teach her how to do back bends and back walkovers, easy stuff, because Sloan is only 6. But I've made her throw some tumbling passes, and it's impressive. I mean, I guess it never goes away.
I feel like if you keep yourself active,
that's true, because I used to be able to do a back handspring and
muscle memory.
Things, and if I did a back bend, I would most definitely scalp myself and pull my forehead down. It's been too long. Well, I think that what you're doing now, and you said the word pivot, and I think it's so interesting to watch someone's journey and see there's the common thread of you are an athlete, but you take the discipline of being an athlete that served you at the college level, at the professional level, and now as a business owner. And it's the little building blocks that have built such a strong foundation. I am so proud of you. Where can people find you, especially locally? So you do concierge training where you come to someone's house, but you also do virtual stuff. You have a location. How do people find you if they want to learn more about the type of training that you do?
Well, you can go to msfitnessstudio.com. You can find us on social media at msfitnessstudio. And also we are located in Maitland, Florida by Functional Fit Club. So we have a brick and mortar location. We have the virtual options, private, semi-private, and group options. So we're trying to make sure our outreach is broad and that we can actually be able to tackle everybody's goals for the most part, who have the intention of feeling better, living stronger, attacking those goals, whether it be through weight loss, toning, strength, mobility, especially. So
anything. What is the one thing that someone needs to be doing? Like, you hear 10,000 steps a day or exercising 3 times a week, but what is that one thing that everybody should be doing to keep their body in the best shape possible?
Drinking water.
Yeah.
Honestly, drinking water. I know.
I love
thought it was going to
water.
be like fitness, but literally the people who are dehydrated struggle the most.
Well, it impacts like everything. And tell me if this is true. Someone told me that when you're drinking water, everyone always says you should drink 100 ounces a day, or there's all these different rules.
Yeah.
Or 8 glasses or whatever it is. But I have heard that there's like electrolytes that you can put in the water so that your body absorbs it.
You can do salt.
Or salt, because if you don't put that in your water, or if
then it just goes through you.
It just goes through you.
Mm-hmm.
So what's that? How do
I would do it as your first
beverage. Do you just
I'd have to
salt water?
I'd have to, yeah.
Is it gross?
I mean, is
it super salty
like the ocean.
Or just a little? Not like the ocean, guys. But is it just a little sprinkle?
I'd have to look at the ratio. I believe it's a tablespoon or so.
And that sets you up for success all day.
And that, in addition to the amount of water that you're supposed to be drinking per day. But that's a great one to start with, because that absorbs into your body. And then moving forward, the amount of water that you drink
keeps.
on top of it is what allows your body to actually be hydrated.
So drink water.
Yes.
Don't be afraid to leverage your cash and communicate with your spouse and build the empire together. Save. Lots of good stuff today.
Yeah. Yes.
Where do you want this business to be in the next 5 years?
MS Fitness?
Yeah.
I want MS Fitness to be self-sufficient. I want MS Fitness to be operating fully out of MS Fitness studios with a team of trainers and me being able to tap in when I need to. So I want it to be this
having enterprise value, that it's not just you. It's a team. It's a big, well-oiled machine, and you're just there. And that's scary for a lot of people to think about, making sure they're building a business that's self-sustainable without them. But it is the ultimate goal. Well, I adore you. Thank you so much for coming on and chatting with us. And yeah, guys, if you have never looked into this type of training, I strongly suggest you do so. Google my friend here. She has tons of videos. She downplays the amount of success that she had as an athlete. And I want to find some Cirque videos. Maybe I'll look too. But I hope you enjoyed this episode of Talk Wealthy to Me. As always, like, share, subscribe, and let's change the way women think and feel about money together.